Have you ever stopped to think about why a car company makes, say, 10,000 cars a year and not 10,001 or 9,999? There's a hidden logic behind every single business decision, and today we're going to pull back the curtain on it. We're diving deep into the economic theory of the firm. So let's just jump right in with this fundamental question. Every single business, from a global car maker to your local coffee shop, has to answer this. It sounds simple, but trust me, unpacking the logic here is the key to understanding how our whole market economy really works. You see, it turns out this one big question is actually two smaller, crucial problems that are just two sides of the same coin. It's this constant balancing act, this tug of war between making things as cheaply as possible and making the most money possible. On one side, you have cost minimization. This is the efficiency puzzle. How do we make 1,000 widgets using the absolute least amount of money? Then, on the other side, you have profit maximization. This is the strategy game. Out of all the things we could do, which plan will make us the most profit? But hang on. Before we can even start to think about being cheap or profitable, we have to know what's even possible in the first place. You can't decide what to cook for dinner until you know what's in the pantry, right? We need to look at the firm's cookbook, every single recipe it knows. In economics, this is called the production set. You can think of it as the complete encyclopedia of what the company is technologically capable of. If a plan is in the set, like using 10 tons of steel and 100 hours of labor to make one car, it's possible. If it's not in the set, it's basically science fiction for that company. And this cookbook has some really basic common sense rules. First, a firm can always just do nothing, shut down for the day. Second, there's no such thing as a free lunch. You can't make something out of thin air. And third, a firm can always just throw away extra stuff if it needs to. These simple assumptions keep our model grounded in reality. Okay, so with the rules of the game established, let's tackle that first big challenge, minimizing cost. Now, instead of making a firm test every single recipe in its giant cookbook, economists found this incredibly powerful shortcut to find the most efficient one every single time. So for any given target, let's say it's 10,000 cars, how does a firm find that one perfect, cheapest mix of labor, steel, and machinery? What we need is some kind of magic tool, a calculator that can instantly tell us the lowest possible cost for any amount we want to produce. Well, that tool actually exists. It's called the cost function. And it really is like a magic machine. You tell it the price of all your ingredients, your labor, your materials, and then you tell it how many things you want to make. And bam, it spits out the single lowest possible cost to do it. It's an incredibly powerful idea. Now, this is where it gets really, really clever. There's this incredible insight called Shephard's Lemma. It says that if you have this cost function, you can actually work backward to figure out exactly how much of each ingredient you need. You just have to ask it a simple question. Hey, if the price of steel goes up by $1, how much does my minimum cost go up? And the answer to that question is the exact amount of steel you need. It's amazing. Yeah, I know the math on the screen might look a little intimidating, but the idea behind it is just so elegant. The perfect recipe for efficiency is literally hidden inside the math of the cost function. All we have to do is check how sensitive it is to prices, and it just reveals the answer. Okay, we've cracked the code on efficiency. We know how to produce any amount of stuff for the absolute minimum cost. But that's only half the battle, right? Now we've got to tackle the big money question. How much should we actually make to get the biggest possible profit? So now the firm is on a quest for that one perfect production level, that sweet spot that brings in the absolute most profit. To find it, we're going to need another powerful tool, another one of these magic functions. And that tool is the profit function. Think of this one like the ultimate market simulator. You feed it all the current prices, what your product sells for, what your labor costs, everything, and it tells you the absolute peak maximum profit your firm is capable of making in those conditions. And what's so amazing is that there's a parallel shortcut here, too, called Hodling's lemma. Once you have that profit function, you can ask it a new question. Okay, if the market price for my car goes up by $1, how much does my maximum possible profit go up? In that rate of change, that answer tells you exactly how many cars you should be making and selling. So once again, the answer is just encoded right inside the function itself. By looking at how sensitive the firm's max profit is to price changes, we can figure out its entire supply plan. We don't have to guess. The math just reveals the optimal choice. It's incredible. And here you can just see the beautiful symmetry in this theory, something economists call duality. It's perfect. On one side, you've got the efficiency problem, solved by the cost function, and you use Shephard's lemma to find out what you need. On the other side, you've got the profit problem, solved by the profit function, and you use Hotelling's lemma to figure out what to supply. They're just perfect mirror images of each other. So we have these two incredibly powerful parallel ideas. We know how to find the cheapest way to make stuff, and we know how to figure out the most profitable amount of stuff to sell. So for the final step, how do we connect the two? How do we link the internal world of the factory to the external world of the market? Well, a firm's profit is pretty simple, right? It's just the money that comes in from sales minus the money that goes out to make the stuff. And here's the key. Because we've already solved the cost minimization problem, we know exactly what that minimum cost is for any quantity the firm could possibly choose to produce. And this brings us to a golden rule in economics. A profit-maximizing firm is going to keep making more stuff just as long as the price it gets for the next item is higher than what it costs to make that one specific item. It will keep going right up until the point where the market price is exactly equal to that marginal cost. Not 1 unit more, not 1 unit less.
And here it is. This is the big reveal, the final incredible connection. That marginal cost curve, the curve that tells us the cost of making just one more, that curve is the firm's supply curve. It tells us exactly how much the firm will want to sell at any price the market offers. The solution to the cost problem is the solution to the supply problem. The two sides of the firm are finally one.
And when firms follow this simple logic, just setting their price equal to marginal cost, something amazing happens to the whole economy. They are naturally pushed to operate on the very edge of their capabilities, achieving what's called technical efficiency. It's a fancy way of saying there is absolutely no waste. And that's a huge deal for a healthy, productive economy. Now, this entire elegant model that we've just walked through, it all rests on one single powerful assumption, that the only thing firms care about is maximizing profit. But if we look at the real world around us, it's worth asking, is that really the whole story? While the profit motive is an unbelievably powerful force, and this model gives us incredible insights, the real world is always a bit messier, isn't it? Do managers sometimes chase market share even if it hurts short-term profits? What about companies that want to prioritize social impact or employee happiness? This leaves us with a final, fascinating question. How much of the business world does this beautiful theory actually explain, and what other forces are out there shaping the world we live in?